Welcome to the Pump and Dump channel. Today I want to talk about CNX Resources Corporation and natural gas, as this is a natural gas producer. So unlike the other videos I've made in the past about companies where I go through evaluation of the company, I'm just going to talk about my trade in it today and yesterday and previous trades that I have done. So just as a disclaimer, of course, remember this is not me advising or recommending you to buy or sell short this stock. I'm just giving my opinion and talking about my experience and giving, I'm giving some of my metrics of where I want to buy, where I want to sell, but that does not necessarily mean that those metrics won't change over time, especially since we are several hours away from the open tomorrow, which means that in the meantime things could change to the worse or to the better. So today basically I was a bit late to the computer. I was late coming back home, and I got on the computer around here about 8:65. It was trading, and I concluded at that point in time it was trading at a discount. I calculated the fair value to be about 8.92, and I have this weakness of not wanting to buy in an uptrend, on the open, because I've seen it so often just roll over. But I just waited. Then it went up. It reached 8.94, and at the lunchtime break, of course, for the traders, they want to go and eat, so they sold it off. And I kind of at this point in time I saw this happening, the lunchtime sell-off. So at 8.70 I bought some. It went down to 8.60. It came back up, and then it went back down. So at 8.62 I bought some more, as I saw the strength in the natural gas price persisting going forward, and I expected the the gas price to keep rising. And because of the fact that the gas price was higher than it was at this point, of course here it was cheaper, because here I thought it was at about fair value, and the price of gas was strong and rising at this point, and it was cheap according to my model, so I bought some here. Now yesterday I did also a trade in CNX. It kind of opened at 8.35 or so, and I calculated the fair value to be about 8.32. That was yesterday when the natural gas price was low. As you can see here, we came out of a nice move up in natural gas this Monday, today. And if we go back a bit further, we probably will see Friday. Yeah, and so here Friday, the 6th of this September, it was my fair value was 8.32 at the open, and it sold off to 8.06, and I calculated that was about a 3% discount to my price. So I picked up some at 8.06. It continued falling to 7.90 something, and then it came back in a roar. And at 8.30 I was I wasn't going to get greedy. I sold 8.30, and then it came back down to 8.15 on the close. But of course then today it rallied up nicely, and this is something to remember, is that fair values and intrinsic values change over time. And like, even though if I had held it here at 8.30, I would have been up another, let's say, 30 cents at this point in time when I bought some more. But the natural gas price did not do that move at that point in time, so technically speaking it's not a mistake to buy higher when the fundamentals have improved. So going back to this stock, I'll just give a quick summary of where I first got involved in June, June, around there. I got in at about 7.15, and I at that point in time I was planning to hold it, and it went nowhere. It was going up and down as the natural gas price kept falling from about 240 something to 230. And then we got to this point here. I started trading it a bit, and then when it rolled over and went down just before earnings to 6.75, I remember buying below 6.75, but not exactly, don't remember what the exact price was. But when it was at 6.20, I was sitting there with a big position I accumulated Of course, in relative terms, I'm not talking about hundreds of thousands in this stock, no, but I had some money in it. The position had grown from my initial position size to, yeah, to about 3 times that. So I was down here, and the earnings of EQT, which is also a natural gas producer, were not so good previously, and that's probably why the expectations were low. And yeah, the stock came back on the earnings. It reached an intraday high of about 850 or so, and of course at 620, having seen that when it was at 7, I started selling at every 50-cent mark, and then I kind of got to the top and sold out, and just shortly after I sold out, I think it went to 870 or something like that, but not quite sure on the exact numbers, but it doesn't really matter. Point is, it then came back down, and then I bought back in at about 715. I bought back my initial position, which I held here, and the reason I held instead of adding more was that at this point in time in August, as you will see in the natural gas chart, the natural gas price was about $2 and change. And of course, at this point in time, the stock, you would say, was overvalued, but at the low in the commodity price, of course, if you pay a little premium at that point in time, it doesn't really matter, especially when the price comes back to a normal level again. So in terms of valuation, I have my model here at the current price of about 260 on natural gas. I estimate it to be worth about 969, and then I have my premium and discount table where I just take a percentage off to see what percentage it is trading at, because I want to always buy less than a 2 or 3% discount, and if it gets lower than that, then of course is better, and is a reason not to sell, especially even if the price is up. So of course I can put in some numbers here that will give me different values. So of course, when I first got involved about 240 in natural gas at 715 or so, I had a small discount, and I thought, I'll hold this position and we'll see where it goes, and it didn't go anywhere. When it got to 232 on natural gas, you can see that my fair value got to 622, which is about where the stock price was before the earnings release. And then especially in that period of time afterwards, when we had natural gas at about, let's say, 2.1, you would have expected the share price to be down here at 350. But here you see there's a divergence between the model and between the real price at which it was traded, and that is something that you have to factor into your decisions, is that sometimes the model, it doesn't apply because fundamentals dictate that the natural gas price is unsustainably low. Just to get into some numbers from competing sources of energy, natural gas, it competes mainly with coal in the US, and the coal producers, they say that they're competitive with natural gas at 250. So when it was below 250, there would have been more switching to natural gas, and then the market would have, rebalanced to using more natural gas and less coal, and that would have increased demand. And you can come up with this argumentation of why the natural gas price was unsustainably low, and of course it rallied. Post August, we are here again at 230, let's say, in September, and it's been rallying since then. So in terms of the target for tomorrow, I put in the natural gas price 260. Here I expect it to go to about, let's just pull this over like this. I expect it to go to 969 if the gas price holds up, of course. And that would be in line with what we can see here on the technical chart. We can see here this low point here, 978, and we can see the 200-day moving average at 974. So there is a convergence of price targets here, and I think that based upon that, we could see something like a 10% move up tomorrow even though we are at an RSI of 70, which is of course what many people would say is you know, a topping pattern. A high RSI of 70 you want to sell, and you want to buy at RSI 30. That's what some traders say, but I think in terms of fundamentals, is which I try to rely on a bit more, we can see the argument of this price going to 970 or so. And yeah, that's kind of my analysis, my take on this. We'll see how it goes tomorrow. Just remember, as I said, I'm not imploring anyone to get onto their trading account and put all their money into this stock or any money at all. This is what I've done with my money. As I said, I purchased a position today at, well, no, I added to my position at 870 and at 862 down here. And I held it into the close because, as I said, the net present value at that point in time was quite superior, and I didn't want to sell my stock at a discount to the market. I think that a 7% discount or so, or 6% to the fair value, is something I don't want to be selling. Now, of course, this is an averaging up into my position, which is something that a lot of people are against, and I have, you know, I also have that experience of it not always working out perfectly, and that's kind of why people, they want to make one purchase order, and then just stick with that, and if it goes good, it goes good, and if it doesn't, it doesn't. But yeah, in this scenario here, because I've followed this stock here for the last 3 months or so, and I built my model, I updated it after the earnings here, and I get to this fair value based on the inputs I put in. So my model has kind of been following the stock price to a certain degree, at which I feel comfortable of taking on a position even in a rising market. And I feel that this natural gas price here of 260, it's looking very bullish. I read the EIA have predicted an average of 265 for the year, which is of course coming out of a high level of last year. If we can just put a weekly, we can probably see here in November we were at 460, and coming into January we're still in the threes, so we probably still average out to a 265 over the year. And that's kind of where I see it with CNX and natural gas. I do not have a speciality in knowing where the natural gas price is going, but I try to just find something like this that's undervalued, because of course when it's under the 250 mark, I feel attracted to natural gas, especially if the stocks are reflecting a fair value. And given my model, I feel confident enough in it that I am willing to hold as long as the price is below my fair value. So I'm going to leave it with that, guys, and you can tell me in the comment section whether you agree or disagree, and you can subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. And I'm going to leave it with that. Have a good day.